a good email so that they can go on my drips and I can follow up with them. So just point in there. So I'm going to go into what my CRM looks like for dialing. So let's just act like this is Joe here, and I'm calling him. It has some information if he was a for sale by owner. I post this in my notes, and then I'm trying to fill that out as I go. And you'll see.
Do you do that while you're speaking today? Like all your notes? Is it during the conversation, or do you need to follow up until after?
It depends on how quick they talk. I do it as I'm going. Like you're gonna see I type notes as I'm talking to them. My calls are recorded too, though, if I want to go back and listen to them. So that's my whole system thing. Like it's not neither here nor there.
I make notes as I call, but usually if they wind up being a nurture,
You're gonna fill it in.
I'll go back and I'll fill in, it'll be sort of shorthand because they're talking and I'm not a typer, I'm a hunt pecker. And I'm like this, and so I go back and fill in the blanks afterward.
All right, Joe, so ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, I was calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner at 123 Main Street?
Yes, it is. Who's calling?
Hey, this is Travis Lockett. I'm a real estate agent here in the area, and I just noticed you have your home for sale, and you're selling it yourself, right?
Yep, that's right. You have a buyer for me?
Well, hey, Joe, I'm not sure. I haven't seen your home yet, and I decided to give you a call today because my office has actually helped a lot of for sale by owners sell their homes, and I was just curious how things are working out for you so far.
They're great. We've had it on the market now for 3 weeks. We've had a lot of activity. We had like about 20 people come through our open house on Sunday.
Wow.
So do you have a buyer for me or what?
Joe, like I said, I haven't seen your home yet, and just first of all, congratulations. You had 20 people come through your open house this Sunday?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Wow, that's really exciting. So do you think you have any offers coming in, or?
Well, there's a couple of people said that they were interested, so we'll see.
Okay, great. So you had a couple people you said they were interested. That's awesome, Joe. And when you sell this home, are you staying local or are you moving out of state?
No, we're going to be staying local here. We're going to be moving up. This is a move up for us. We just need a little bit more room.
Okay. So I see here you have like a 3-2 now with 1,500 square feet. Are you looking for like maybe a 3-2 with 2,000 square feet and a pool? Because I have a listing over in Seminole Grove Estates that you might love. I just throwing that
That'd
out
be
there.
interesting, but we can't buy until we sell. So.
Okay. I gotcha. And I was just really curious. Like, we actually have 2 listings. We have a 3-2 in Seminole Grove Estates and one over in Linden Place. Are you familiar with those neighborhoods? Is that like somewhere you'd like to be?
Yeah, actually, that's the area that we're looking at.
Okay. Well, and then when you sell
So
your home,
listen, do you have a buyer for me, or?
Yeah, Joe, like I said, I haven't seen your home, and these pictures look great. Don't get me wrong. There's a little bit of information that I would want before we actually brought one of our buyers. And I was calling you today, Joe, because, like I said earlier in our conversation, we have helped a lot of for sale by owners sell their homes. And I heard you when you said you're having 20 people come through the house. That's awesome. I was just really curious that if I could show you a way that I could put more money in your pocket and it was actually financially advantageous to you for us to help you sell your home, would you at least be interested in having a conversation about that?
I don't know how could you do that?
Well, Joe, I have an open later on at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock this evening. What time would be best for me to come over and show you how I can do that?
Yeah, I don't know how you can do that. If you have a buyer, you're welcome to bring them by.
Okay. Joe, hey man, I hear you, and I'm sure that you had, how many realtors have you had call you, Joe?
Quite a few. That's why I say if you have a buyer, you're welcome to bring them by. I'm paying 1.5%.
Oh wow. Okay, so you're actually already offering commission to an agent if we did bring a buyer, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Joe, like I said, I appreciate that, and I'll definitely keep that in mind. So what we're really talking about here is that you want to save the other 3.5 to 4.5%, right?
Yeah. We've sold homes on our own before, and it's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. And all I'm saying is if you knew that having me represent you would actually put more money in your pocket and make up for the difference, you'd probably go ahead and hire me, wouldn't you?
Sure, if you could put more money in my pocket, yeah, but I really don't know how you can do that.
Well, like I said, Joe, I have availability this evening at 5 or 6, or if tomorrow early morning would work better for you as well. I can do 10 or 11. Would either of those times work for you?
No, not really. Like I said, I don't know how you can do that, so I tell you what, if you have that buyer, you're welcome to bring them by, but, I've had a lot of promises from agents, and I just don't think you can, that's.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I can certainly follow up with you, and I definitely will. And regardless of whether we meet now, 2 weeks from now, or even 2 months from now, is it fair to say that your primary goal is to net as much money as possible, like we said, and to get into a bigger home? Right? That's your primary
Yep.
goal, right?
Yep.
And if you were as convinced as I am that hiring me is how you will accomplish this, it makes sense for us to meet now, right?
Yeah, if I was convinced, but I'm not, so.
Okay. Well, Joe, it's literally going to take maybe 30, 45 minutes, depending on how many questions you have. And then at the end of our meeting, at least you'll have a better idea, because I'm going to bring comps and a market analysis. You'll have a better idea of how much your home is worth. If maybe you're even priced under, you never know. And then you might have some more marketing ideas that you can use as well. There's no obligation when we meet. And like I said, our schedule's flexible. We can meet at 5 or 6 this evening, or tomorrow at 10 or 11. I mean, if that could mean putting an extra, a few $1,000s more in your pocket, I mean, you'd probably take 30 minutes to meet with me, right?
Okay, well, I tell you what, I'll give you 30 minutes.
Okay. You'll give me 30
Yeah.
minutes, so at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock today?
6 o'clock.
Okay, great, Joe. Well, I will see you at 6 o'clock. I'm going to send you a confirmation for our appointment. What's a good email for me to send that to?
Hankoski@gmail.
Awesome. And Joe, hey, one thing I forgot to ask you is, I know you said you wanted to move into a bigger home. When would you like to be into your new home? Is the school year important to you, or do you have a time frame?
No, not really. It just, when we sell this house, we're gonna use the money from this house as a down payment for the next house.
Okay. So you just need more room.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, Joe, one more thing. Are you the primary decision maker, or do you have a wife who's going to be involved with the sale of the house as well?
Yes,
Okay, is she going to be there today at 6 o'clock?
yes.
All right, perfect. I will see you then, Joe.
All right.
All right, thanks. Well, thank you, but Joe has to give me an appointment. That's the thing. I could have given up. I was about to. Like, if I was on a regular phone call, I'd say, like, you know what? All right, I'll follow up with you. But the thing is, another realtor is going to call them in between that follow-up period. So you want to get face-to-face and show your value and your energy right away. And be prepared. Right?
Yeah, what you wanted, the idea is get face-to-face. If you can't get the appointment, if you can get the email address so that you can send them some information, because it doesn't cost anything to send emails. If you send something through the post office, it will cost you a little bit. And anybody who's new, you don't want to spend money if you don't have to. I don't recommend you spending money if you don't have to, not until you start having income. And that's, basically we're all business people, and it's profit and loss, and until you start having a profit, you don't want to be spending a whole lot of money.
Yep, and then to the point for follow-up, like I went back and did the notes, so for motivation, moving up to a bigger house, same area, I don't really specifically know why he needs a bigger house. So you got to dig deeper with motivation. Sometimes you can't always do that over the phone. But I'm qualifying the appointment. Is his wife going to be there, right? And I'm not cherry picking right now either, though. I have 2 active listings. I need 9 to hit my goal this year. So that's an appointment. If it's in Seminole, I'm going on that appointment. Would you say that's fair enough, Joe? Okay.
Yeah, and the idea is just to get face-to-face, and sometimes, and when I was real successful with the for sale by owners, my approach was not to do the listing appointment. My intent was to do the preview. And you can always get a preview appointment. And my script is a little bit different from Travis's, similar because we use some of the same scripts. I always ask them, is this the owner of the home? You want to make sure you're talking to the right person. And I always ask them, is the property still available, or have you gotten it sold? Because sometimes it's already sold, or it's under contract. So if it's under contract, then you ask them, oh, when's that going to be closing? Because until it's closed, it's not sold. So usually what I'll do with that, if they tell me when it's closing, I'll follow up and just say, just touching base. We had talked a few weeks ago, just saying, did your house go to close? Oh no, the deal fell apart, the people couldn't get their loan, so we're back on the market. So boom, that's somebody you've already talked to. And then if you can't get the appointment, if you can get a preview, then you can get face-to-face with the folks. And while you're there, you can ask the qualifying questions of, well, so when you sell, what's the most important thing about selling? I'm moving up, I'm moving down, I'm moving out of town, whatever it is. You're establishing rapport with these folks. And usually one of the last questions on the preview that I'll always ask is, so how long do you plan on trying to sell on your own before you consider working with a realtor? And they'll always say that. And that's the same thing that you can do on the phone call. If they're not going to give the appointment, you can always ask, well, I can appreciate that. So just out of curiosity, how long are you going to plan on trying to sell on your own before you will consider working with a realtor? They'll say, well, I'm going to give it 4 weeks. Well, okay, well, Mr. Seller, would it be okay if I emailed you some background information on myself? So, and then I'll just sort of follow up with you. Would that be okay? And they'll always say yes, and boom, you got their email, and you send them the information.
Yep, and each strategy's right if it's working for you, right? If you continue to do it and you're consistent with it and give it time, because it takes time with them, then just go from there. If it doesn't work after 4 or 5 months of doing it consistently and you have no results, well then maybe try a different approach or practice your scripts with a different partner or whatever it is. I love, I put these boards up here, I didn't explain them. It has my scripts in front of me, objection handlers, and then closes. So I really, honestly, have not been doing for sale by owners as often as I have in the past. So I'm really rusty on these. So I was pretty much reading from them, right? I was essentially reading from them, but I've read them a lot of times before, so I can pause and have a different tonality on certain parts of the script. A big thing that I'm focusing on now is not doing filler words, like and and it's very difficult. And I'm about to say it again. It makes you sound like you don't have confidence or you don't know what you're talking about when you're on the phone, and you have to have absolute confidence. And that's my approach with the for sale by owners. So they want me to sound, I want to sound energetic and confident, and where they're certain as I am that by working with me, they will net more money, and I know the stats. They will. Joe does a limited service versus represented MLS listing market report, and it's a 14% difference.
Yeah, it'll vary anywhere from, I've done anywhere from 10 to 25% difference.
So that means if
you're represented, you get 10 to 25%.
You call Jack Keller
for sale by owner.
Yeah, you call Jack Keller and you pay him $150 and put your listing on MLS. On average, it sells for 15% less, right? Than if a realtor puts it on the MLS and does it for you more. And you can do that search on the MLS by adding the extra terms. You do limited representation versus seller represented. You don't have to write it down. I'm going to upload the PDF to the Gold Side group on the Facebook and show you exactly how to do that, okay? So, and then you can use that on your first sale by owner appointments if you want to. All right, so Jill, let's go into circle prospecting.
So we use what on the for sale by owner?
It's a market report that shows that by working with a realtor and having representation.
Oh, it actually shows that?
Statistics.
You can just run a report from the MLS that'll show you the statistics for if it's a limited service. And typically it's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, or approximately 1,500 square feet, selling for about $210,000 versus full service, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,500 square feet, and they're going to be selling for about $225,000.
So
it's amazing, and every time I do it, it's always the same. they're always those that are represented always make more money. Now, does that say that every for sale by owner makes less money? No, but on a whole they do, because what happens is they've been doing it for a month or so. They're getting frustrated. They're tired of doing the open houses. Somebody comes in, offers them some money, and they say, honey, why don't we just take this? I'm just so over it. And that's what happens.
Yep.
Oh, that's when you're listing with Jack Heller.
That's when that's what happens. That's why for sale by owners sell for less.
Okay.
They just get frustrated. So what you want to do is try and explain to them that you work with us and you'll actually net more money,
And there's
even after my commission.
There's other things you can do too that just show the whole conundrum of being a for sale by owner. Like Zillow is usually one of their biggest forms of advertising, but they don't realize how Zillow works. So that's one of my first things that I talk about. Like, so hey, you're advertising primarily through Zillow, right? Yes. Like, do you know how Zillow works? This is when I'm in front of them. And then I just show them how it works. I'm like, do you know these agents? They're like, no. I'm like, do you think they know anything about your house? I'm like, probably not. Well, they're paying to be here so that when buyers are interested in your house, they're the first people they're going to talk to. Okay? And there's some problems with that. Sometimes they don't ever answer their phone. They take 3 days to call back. So the buyer may never be able to see your home. And second of all, if that buyer contacts that agent, who's representing that buyer? And they're like, well, the agent is representing the buyer, right? Okay. And then who's going to be representing you? Nobody. Okay, so you told me, this is usually the case, that you're paying 1.5% or 2% or 3%, whatever it is, to a co-op. Wow, that's so interesting. So you're actually paying 3% towards the plaintiff, right? If you were an attorney, like hypothetically, if you were in a lawsuit, are you going to pay the other person's attorney to represent that person who's suing you? Would anyone do that?
No.
Anybody here? No. And they're like, no. Okay. So you look here at the statistics, it's a 15% difference. Even if I'm pessimistic and bring it down, wouldn't you say that by working with me, I'm more than going to make up the difference? Yeah, and some people know, they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They want to sell on their own, and that's their motivation. Or you didn't explain it clear enough, but that's on for sale by owner, so I hope that makes sense. Joe, you ready to run right into the circle prospecting?
Yeah. You want me to do my script, or you want to do a script?
It's up to you.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Travis?
Yep.
Travis, my name's Joe. I'm a real estate professional in the area, and I hope you're having a great day.
What is that?
I said, I hope you're having a great day.
Oh. I am having a good day, man.
Great. I'm doing a little homework, and I just thought you may be able to help. We've had a lot of interest in and around your neighborhood, and I was wondering, who do you know that might be thinking about making a move in the next year?
Joe, how did you get my number?
I just subscribed to a service. I was just looking for numbers in the area. We do a lot of business in your area, and like I said, we've had a ton of interest in homes in the area. And currently, we're in a strong seller's market, which means that we're struggling finding good buyers, good properties for our buyers. So I was just wondering, who do you know that may be thinking about making a move in the next year?
Well, Joe, I mean, that's what I was really wondering, like, how you're just randomly calling me. I mean, we were just talking about putting our house on the market and getting a house with an extra bedroom. It's just so weird that you're calling me.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I would love to come by and just talk to you about what your goals are for the sale of your home. I do have time today at 5 or tomorrow at 4, which works better for you.
I think 5 o'clock would work better for my wife and I.
Okay, great. Well, do you have a good email address? I'd like to email over a little bit of information before I get there. Would that be okay?
Yeah, it's Travis Lockett with 2 T's, LOCKETT1 @gmail.com.
Okay, all right. And in preparation for our meeting today, could you just tell me a little bit about your home?
Yeah, it's 3-2, but the third bedroom is a garage conversion. There's probably like 6 feet left on the other side of the wall. It is permitted, so that's taken care of well. The second bathroom's out there too, so it's kind of weird. Like, it's an office, but it could be used as a bedroom. We have a closet in there, and yeah, the laundry's in there too. But it's a nice house. The other 2 bedrooms on the other side, they're good size closet. Nice backyard, and it's a quiet street.
Okay. What kind of updates have you done recently, like age of roof and so on?
Roof is 2012, AC is 2011, hot water heater is 2012, and ceramic tile throughout the living spaces and the master bedroom and bathroom. New paint throughout, and then laminate, like pergo laminate in the bedrooms.
Oh, it sounds real nice. Have you updated the kitchen and baths at all?
They're like the white thermal cabinets that you saw in the mid-2000s a lot, and granite countertops.
Okay,
Yep.
oh, that sounds nice.
I do have a pink bathtub in our guest bathroom. Never get around to updating that.
That sounds great, pink. I like that.
Yeah, my little girls love it, so, you know.
That's, in realtor terms, we call that coral.
Coral, I like that, yeah.
Okay, well, great. You know, Travis, I really appreciate you giving me the information. I'm going to do my homework on this end and have some numbers for you when we meet. And I look forward to meeting you and Mrs. Travis at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, what a serendipitous phone call there.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, man. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, how many of you think that happens a lot
No.
on a circle prospecting phone call?
No.
But I'll tell you what, it does happen. Not exactly like that conversation. I will never forget. Joe, you did great on that call, by the way. This format, great. Obviously, I was a motivated seller. Way to ask about the house and great tonality. I liked you. One thing for critique, I was about to start telling you about how my day was, and then you kept going in the script. Remember we talked about that, like waiting
Yep.
sometimes, and I do the same thing.
Yeah, and we talk about this, the guys who do the lead generation, and when you're on the phone, you have a tendency to talk over the other person because you're not face to face, so you can't see that maybe they're thinking or they're ready to say something else. And you start talking, and as soon as the words start coming out of your mouth, you can hear their voice coming through the phone, and it's like, oh, darn, I did it again. So Nick and Natalie's coach said, count to 4. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. And that will give them enough time to think. Because depending on who you're talking to, depending on their personality, if they're a high D, they'll be responding to you real quick. But if they're a high S, they're going to be thinking. They're not going to be responding to you real quickly. So you need to slow down. And something that Travis had brought up earlier is that you do want to be energetic on the phone because when you speak through the phone, your energy is reduced. So for me, especially depending on your personality, and my personality is a little bit more laid back. I have a little mirror in front of where I do my lead generation. So sometimes I'll look in the mirror and make a funny face to just sort of energize myself, just to remember I need to have that energy. I did lose a deal one time because the people didn't feel I was interested enough in the property. I didn't have that energy. So you have to match what the person's personality is. You have to pick that up. You have to understand what your personality is. So if you are a high D or a high I, sometimes you got to bring it down a notch. So you just have to mirror and match what the other person's doing. On the phone, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary Ubaldini says it's about the space between the notes. For whatever reason, when you said that, it's resonated with me. And I'm the same way. I will always catch myself talking over people. I've been doing it in this class today with Joe. It's just in my natural personality. So yeah, one thing for circle prospecting, most of the times you're not going to get that right away appointment. They're like maybe in a year, maybe in 6 months. And then you have a lot of questions that you can ask, and I think they're right here. They're motivating questions. So like, what specifically would you be looking for in your next home if you did sell in a year? And once again, as to what's the motivation, right? Like I have some buyers who are selling their home in North Carolina that's 11 acres. They want to get out of the cold and get back down here and get in the sun again. That's their motivation, and they have a time frame, and there's specific reasons behind it. Now, a big thing that I see people not doing when they're doing this is asking for their email. The simplest way to do it is, okay, hey, it was great talking to you today. Also, what's your email?
Oh.
That's the simplest way to do it. It's really that easy. Or it can say like, okay, well, hey, thank you so much for taking my call today. Because usually they'll say, you know, we're not thinking about selling. We don't know anyone who's thinking about selling. Like, hey, I appreciate you taking my call today and having a conversation with me. I'm really thankful for that. If you did talk to a neighbor, do you have a great real estate professional you would recommend to them? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, how could I be that agent for you? They're like, well, send me your card. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm going to send you my info. What's a good email to send that to? Like, well, I don't use email. Okay, well, I'm going to mail it to you. That's fine. I'm going to mail you my card, and we have those pre-written. But ideally, to have an email, great. What's a good email to send you over some info about myself, just in case you ever need anything. You know, we can go to vendor strategy, saying if you ever have any vendors that you need, or if you just want to know how much equity you have in any of your properties, and you want to get their email, and then have a drip that sends some valuable information, and that's what we're doing. We actually do video emails, bi-weekly, 2 times a month, and we can see all the open rates and everything.
That's bi-monthly.
That's awesome. Is it bi-monthly? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so we got.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to throw in, you know, he gave me the appointment, and does that always happen? No. However, I will tell a story, and it's a true story. I was door knocking through a farm area some years ago, and I knocked on the door, and I just had some information and introduced myself, and the woman's standing there, and she turns and says, "Honey, the realtor's here." She turned back to me and says, "Come on in." And I got the listing.
Oh.
They had bought the house the year before. The husband had had a fall, had hurt his head. There was medical issues. They had to move back to wherever they moved from. And I was there. So that's the idea is I hit them at just the right time. And that's what you do on the phone. You may hit the person at just the right time.
I've had it happen, like, it's just numbers. It's multiple times. Like, the first guy I ever called, the first appointment I've ever taken that was from, or a listing that I've taken from prospecting, and that's why it reminded me when you didn't slow down when you asked that question, because the whole point in that script, it's, "Hey, is this Joe?" Confirming the name of the piece of data that you had. And we're like, "Yes, this is Joe. Who is this?" "Hey, this is Travis Lockett, and I'm a local real estate professional, right? And I hope you're having a great day." That's a true, sincere hope. I hope they are. I hope they're nice to me on the phone. And I hope we can have a nice conversation, right?
And I hope they're ready to listen.
Exactly. "How are you doing?" could seem a little or not as genuine as "I hope you're having a great day." Because do you really care how they're doing? I mean, I guess you're doing the same thing. You're hoping they're doing well. But for whatever reason, saying "I hope you're having a great day" has been a good thing for people, and it throws people off because they're just confused. They're used to people, salespeople calling, and you'll get it from ADT people and healthcare people. "Hey, this is blah, blah, blah. How's your day going? How are you today?" I hope you're having a great day. It's just, I like that a lot, and it's worked well for me. Because the guy I called him, I said, "Hey, I hope you're having a great day." Waiting, not saying anything. He's like, "You know, man, I am. I'm just sitting by the pool, and it's beautiful out." And he's like, "What's going on today?" And he's like, "Well," I was like, "You know, I have a lot of buyers who are looking to move in the area, in a home like yours, and I was wondering if you've talked to anybody or if you have thought about selling your home." He's like, "I have. If I can sell it for $425. I knew that his house couldn't sell for $425. I'm like, "Well, hey, that's interesting. I live right in the neighborhood. I can stop by and I'll take a look at the home and tell you what I think it could sell for." And I did. Okay, and I met him. I didn't list it there. Both people weren't there who owned the home. I did list it 3 months later at $350, and I ended up selling that house 4 times. It's a whole other story. On the 4th time, I actually got both sides, and the check was worth like $18,000. So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, so it works. Objections, we went over some of those. Where to get numbers? Joe, where do you get your numbers?
I subscribe. I subscribe to RedX. You subscribe to Mojo. When I started out, I didn't pay for anything. And when you start out, I don't recommend you pay for anything. There are other ways that you can get numbers. If you call them for sale by owners, what I used to do is I drive down through neighborhoods and I look down the street and I look for that little sign there. I drive by, write down the address and the phone number, and I would make the call. So that's how, and that was, I think, going back to the year I did the majority of for sale by owners, that's how I got the numbers, was that way. Because you don't want to spend money. It costs money to get the numbers off of Mojo or from RedX, or any of the other services that are out there. And I don't recommend, if you're new, to be spending money if you don't have it.
Are those numbers scrubbed?
Yeah, the numbers that we get from Mojo or RedX, they're scrubbed for the do not call list, yeah.
Yes, numbers are definitely scrubbed. And I use, for circle prospecting data, I use Cole Realty Source. It's been a source since like 1875 when they had telegraphs. I think that's what they're called. I'm just, it's a joke. But they've been getting
They have some real old numbers.
Yes, they've been getting data for a long time with the, yes. So that's where I get my data. For Lindsay, for how I set my goals, right now it takes me about 45 contacts to set an appointment, which is 45 conversations. Maybe that even is including a text back and forth, like I've set appointments via text too, but usually it's 45 conversations. And I could go 120 conversations without setting any appointments and just adding nurtures, but I include my follow-up conversations in my overall number, so it's about 45 right now. And then from circle prospecting, FSBOs, or expireds, I average about 8 to 10 contacts per hour. Before this lawsuit thing just happened, which I'm rethinking everything, when I had a triple dialer, I was averaging with circle prospecting about 24 contacts per hour, and that was awesome. But it's illegal. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore because I don't want a federal lawsuit. So now it's still about 10 to 12, and one thing we're getting back to too is focusing on our database as a primary focus, and then still being committed to a certain amount of numbers from new contacts from FSBOs, circle prospecting, and expires.
Yeah. One of the things you can do, especially if you're new, and this was another thing I picked up from my coaching call on Monday, when they bring anybody onto their team, they're required to make a list of 100 contacts, and that's the phone number, address, email, and birthday. If they don't have those 100 contacts, they can't be part of their team. And so that weeds out people who aren't motivated to do lead generation. However, when the people do that, they come in and meet with the owner of the team. And they say, wow, I already have appointments. Just going through the exercise of getting that additional information. I already have an appointment for a buyer and somebody else who wants to do this. And that you wind up just talking to them about real estate. So I would encourage you to, if you don't have 100 people in your database right now, put one together. Name, street address, email address, and birthday. And just say, you know, I'm working now with Keller Williams. I have information that goes out on a periodic basis, and I'm just updating my information for you. And, you know, I have your address, but I don't have your email address. You know, could you give me the best email address to use for you? And, you know, you're calling related to real estate, and what do people usually say? Oh, so you're in real estate now. Or, oh yeah, you know, it's funny you're talking about real estate. I was talking to my neighbor and they're talking about selling their house, and all of a sudden you have an appointment or a lead or whatever. So I would encourage you to do that if you don't have that, to put that together. And it, you know, just take your time, and that'll be some of your calls, especially the newer agents who are in Ignite. You have to make calls anyhow. That's a great call, you know. Hey Travis, you know, I just want to let you know I'm now with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm taking this great class, and just looking to see, you know, who you know that may be thinking about buying or selling real estate that I could help out today. And then while I have you on the phone, you know, one thing I do, I just would like to send you periodically some information about real estate. What's the best email address to use? I just talked over you, didn't I?
No, I said no. But he's right, and so when I
talk faster.
I can talk a lot faster. I sure can. When I did my first for sale by owner call, I was in here with Pam, Duberly, and Joe was probably here, and maybe Sandy, and a bunch of agents who've been here for a while. And Pam had a list from Red X of, like, I guess they're for sale by owners under 100 grand that she didn't want to call. And I called this condo that was like $50,000, and I set an appointment on my first phone call. Like, my heart was pounding, and it was like so nerve-wracking. When it was more nerve-wracking was when I was in bold and they forced you to call the people you know, because it's a fear of being embarrassed, I guess. But now I correlate it with, it'd be more embarrassing not to take my girls to Disney World, right? I come from like a family of alcoholics. I'm not one. I made it out, okay? So, but it's like, it's something that's really close to my heart to, in the future, be able to create an organization that can help people with alcoholism and drug addiction, because it's a big problem in our country and society. So, and I actually just kind of figured this out a few weeks ago, just digging down, like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to make $1 million? Why do I want this arbitrary number of a huge sum of wealth? And it's not because I wanted to fly a helicopter to the NBA Finals in Oakland, because that would be awesome. But I wouldn't ever really do that because it's wasteful. And it's not fair to people who don't have enough. So my motivation is that, to provide every opportunity for my little girls and to help support people who have problems like that. Because the people who have that problems have children, right? And then those children, I don't ever want children to feel the way that some other children that I know have felt, like when they were children doing that, because it's not fair to them. Right? So I dug deeper. I'm like, why am I doing this? And that's why. So you think about that. Okay, you're calling your friends. If they're your friends, like, literally, I called my best friends during Bowl who know I was in real estate, because every time I'd come over to their house and hang out to talk about it, I called them and I was like, hey, Alex, it's Travis. We're having a contest today, man. And I was wondering if you could help me out. What does your friend say?
I'd love to help.
Everyone. Hey, I'm having a contest today. Is there any way you could help me out? Yes. If they say no, you know what? All right, no. Give me your friend card. It's back. No more friendship. But seriously, they're like, yeah, of course. Or, I'm busy. Can you call me back? Sure. And like, hey, well, we're having a referral contest in this great class I'm taking, and I was wondering who you know who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, if you could refer me to them. They're like, I don't know anyone. If you're thanking somebody, would you please text me over their info? They're like, yeah. That simple script, I thought it was so silly. I mean, I closed like 3 deals off of that. And it's because it activates their reticular activating system. So it's like if I tell you all to go look for Kia Rios, everyone look for a Kia Rio today, maybe a black one, a Kia Rio, they're these really small Kias. You're all going to see one. You're going to see one within a week if you remember me saying that. And that's how real estate is with your friends. Just specifically asking them, right? So that's a big thing. We got off of cold prospecting, but that's an important point. I think we pretty much covered everything. Does anyone have any questions?
What's your phone number?
727
555.
469 3126. And does anyone have any ahas or anything that they're going to implement? Come on, somebody. Just gotta share. Kel.
I have never done circle prospecting around all of my business, and it's stupid, not?
Well, you can do circle prospecting, and then, I see your signs out all the time for open house.
I do too.
And the great thing for open house is what we used to do, we still do, is Becky will do up an invitation, says you're invited.
Yep.
And you go knock on the doors of the neighbors and invite them to the open house.
I have 7 nurtures in my database right now in Seminole Lake Country Club. If you all ever are looking for a pocket listing in Seminole Lake Country Club, let me know, because I have them, right? Because I called that entire neighborhood twice of 400 homes, because we sold a $500,000 listing in there. Who wants to sell more $500,000 listings? I do. So I called all of them multiple times, and I have a listing coming up at the end of the summer for doing that. So yeah, that's a good point. Circle prospecting, same thing. If you're not just, that script we were doing is literally calling anyone. But the conversation can be like, hey, we just sold a house on the corner of Augusta and Hershey Lane, that brown house they were working on for 3 months.
How'd you get my number?
We got it from
Listen, just take my number.
we got
off
it from
your
the
list.
white pages, Joe. And okay, Joe, yes, I'll do that. Absolutely. Bye. Next one.
That's the worst that's the worst that can happen to you.
And
Is he bruised? Is he
no,
bleeding?
no. I'm excited for the next person, right? So
I mean, just to be realistic, that will happen to you. There will be people who will be nasty to you. And that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you. And you always smile and say, I'm sorry for bothering you. Have a wonderful day and a great week.
I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you. Thank you. Talk to the next person, and that's it. Yeah, Cal. Especially with all the listings you're selling, man. Crush it. It's just a real simple conversation. And I talk about that too when I have a specific listing. You heard me say Augusta and Hershey, the brown house that people have been working on because it was a flip. Yes, they've seen it. If they live in that neighborhood, they've drove by it, realize that real estate's a localized thing. So that's a whole other thing too. For my circle prospecting thing, we always have a neighborhood overview of the area we're calling so we can talk about houses that have sold. Because an objection I get a lot is like, what do you mean you have buyers looking to buy a house? There's 7 houses for sale in our neighborhood. We're like, yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen that one. They're all 3.2s. We're looking for that coveted 2.2. Okay, I'm not sure if yours is a 2.2. They don't list bedrooms on the tax records. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, we're thinking about selling next year. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. You know, would it be helpful if I did a market analysis of your home? Like, yeah, that'd be great. And then you can meet with them or send it over to them, whatever.
If you're gonna call a neighborhood, is there any other way other than Red X or Mojo to get a list of phone numbers?
IMAP.
You can do it through IMAP, and if you come to my office, I have instructions. I'll have to dig it out. Sandy does a class on that, and I have the instructions on how to do that.
I would suggest, and Joe's 100% right. Like, you always look at your budget for everything that you spend. Red light, green light, right? You gotta look at your budget for things. But you can split coal with other agents. We've split it with up to 4 agents, and it costs like $900 for the year or $1,000 for the year. So if you split it with 4 other agents, you can group together those people. Then it's $250 each. If you're committed to doing it, because you got to get the return.
You have to remember, and that's the thing of being committed. And I didn't commit to spending money until I was actually calling the for sale by owners on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and then getting some business from it. And then that's when I decided to say, well, you know, rather than driving around all the time.
Well, what if you could get a directory of a community? You still have to scrub the numbers over.
Yeah, well, and there's a way to do that through the office. I'm not sure how to do that. The numbers that come up on IMAP, I think they note whether they're do not call it.
I don't know if IMAP does it easily. Cole does. It has a direct integration with the SAN do not call list. That's why I suggested it, and because I know that it's gonna take you. You know, I look at like before I got into real estate, I made $35 an hour. Realistically, I made more like $40 an hour because I didn't pay taxes on a lot of that because they were tips. So, you know, in order for me to stay in real estate and make more money, I have to make $50, $60 an hour, which we do, right? So, you know, I look at like if I'm going to spend 6 hours trying to get this list together, well then I just spent $300 if I didn't become productive or effective with any of that. So I'm saying if you can get people together and you are committed to it, it's still a great tool as well. Like I just went on Nextdoor the other day, and some lady, does anyone know what Nextdoor is? It's like a social media thing for neighborhoods. Some lady posted in my neighborhood, hey, I'm looking for a condo that accepts boxers that are over 100 pounds. Can anyone help me? Of course I could. So I sent her a message, sent her 2 messages. She didn't respond to me. I went to Cole and I got her number, and I called her. Are you filming? Are we live?
You've been live.
How'd you
Oh,
get
man.
her number?
You've been live the whole time.
Okay.
How did you say you got her number?
Through Cole. It's my
Is
name.
that COLE?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cole Realty Source. If you do go to Cole Realty Source, please be sure to refer me. I'm just kidding. In all,
Then he'll get a discount.
I will. Joe's right though. Like, do IMAP and just go through the list. Your answer rate might not be as high. You might have some frustrations trying to struggle with the do not call list. If you need any more help with the technical difficulties, just call me and set up an appointment or just pop by my office. I'm always happy to help. Yeah.
Any other
questions? Ahas? May?
Oh, what I wanted to ask you
Yes.
is this, when you get your clients in the Seminole Lake Country Club area,
Yeah.
did you ever get the membership books?
The directory?
Yeah, there's a membership list of the people who belong to the country club. And do these people belong to that, and did they give you their book of members?
The country club is public. So I did not get the membership to that because I'm not a member. I did ask.
No, I asked the people that your clients there, would they give you a copy of their membership book that they have?
I mean,
Would you
they were
ask
my
them
clients.
or
It
not?
was a listing, and they never got that because they were investors. But I know the president well, and yeah, I've talked to him, you know, a few times, and I was making sure everything would be okay for the rehab and how strict they were, and they just wanted the house to be
Are you
rehab.
saying that country club is public now, it's not a private?
It's not private in
country club
Seminole Lake,
anymore?
no. A lot of country clubs aren't as private anymore because of lack of membership
Yes,
and
I
attendance.
know, I
So
didn't know that one was public, it used to be private.
it's public now, yeah. Great neighborhood though. I know the
Beautiful
Alan,
neighborhood.
I know Alan Kay. He built like Seminole Grove Estates and Burning Tree Estates. Great guy. Any other ahas? Like seriously, I hope you all got something out of this that you can take and put into action. And thank you, Joe, for volunteering to help with this class. And thank you all for being here and listening.
Most enjoyed.
Thanks, John.